I don't know.
Yeah, it was worth it though.
It was worth it though. I mean, maybe I did. I felt like I was in a better mood.
Stop.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Perfect.
He's
Let's
alive.
see if it.
He's alive and
Hi.
I haven't seen you in forever.
I know. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I forgot, or I just remembered I need to sign your thingy now. Still, like three
Do it.
weeks later. I
Do
know I
it.
needed.
It's fine.
I
It's all
know.
good. I've got you on the list. I'm not losing track of you. I told Jasmine, the girl I work with, I'm like, just keep bothering him. Eventually he'll fill it out and send it back.
Yeah, I know I need to do it. I forgot until I just saw you. So
That's fair.
it's like
yeah,
you don't even want to make money, bro.
I know. Well, I've got it in an account. It's just like I don't. Yeah, I don't know. So,
You're just eating a thing of romaine.
so I usually have a tuna fish sandwich for this meal, but I didn't have time to put it together. So I'm eating the pieces. So yes.
You're unhinged. First you go bald. Now you're just massive and leaning out.
Hmm.
Wild.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
new with you, buddy? It's been a hot sec.
Oh, well, we talk every day, but that doesn't make for a good podcast. But no, I mean, today, like
Oh,
I texted you, I feel like I woke up, I slept really good. And like my Whoop was like, you slept great and everything. I was like, oh, cool, this is awesome. And then I was like, when I was doing my posting this morning, I think I told you, I was like, I feel like dog shit. I was like, I feel really gross. And then throughout the day, like with my clients, I was like, I just am like not here, like in my head. I'm just like, I was like foggy and fuzzy and weird. And then I was lifting. I was like, why does everything feel so heavy? And I was like sweating a bunch. And then I was like, oh yeah, Aromacin does this to me. Not anastrozole. I switched to Aromacin. And I was like, that makes sense. And that was really nice to like at least have an answer to be like, okay, I'm not doing something wrong, right? So but yeah, other than that, no, day's been good. I've got my mom's birthday dinner tonight. We'll see if I eat. I like it's up, you're in that point with like when you're in prep, you can't eat because you're in prep.
right.
Show you can eat because you're hungry. And then in the middle of the off season, like right now, where I'm eating like 5,000 calories. I'm like, I don't want to eat anything. I just don't. I don't want a cheat meal because I don't want to eat. So we'll see
Right.
how it goes tonight. But yeah,
Well, the good news is it's really hard to overeat at this point now. So,
yeah, that's true because I don't want to. So,
yeah.
but yeah, you're not gonna prep this year, yeah?
Apparently not. Apparently we did too well and we keep doing too well. So now it's turning into looks like you and I are going to do the same thing for the most part.
Yeah,
Well, I guess I'm not going to be like growing. What
yeah.
what Matt was saying, we're going to just basically do like a reverse diet at this point. And just try and get food up a little bit slowly over time and just keep recomping and see what happens. So,
Where's your food at right now?
um, I wouldn't say it's huge. Two of my meals are basically just a meat, 25 grams of carbs from fruit and some vegetables. So
Okay.
like it's some of them aren't that big, but like my first meal has got like a good 75 grams of carbs, and then like my pre-workout, my post-workout are both like a good 125 gram of carbs, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
So I mean, some of them are pretty good, but I would say like half of them really there's really not a whole lot going on. So if
No.
you get those other three meals up quite a bit and still keep cardio non-existent, it's a
Mm,
pretty good starting spot. So
yeah. Yeah,
so
and it seems like a pretty easy area to just you can add some stuff in slowly, right? And just be
Mhm.
like, okay, that was too much, that was too little, pull back, slow around. Like that's good.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how he does that. We haven't really done like any sort of like reverse with
Mm,
together. So I understand like a good way to do it, like shooting for like maybe like a good 50 to 100 calories like every week to every other week
yeah.
seems to be kind of about the sweet spot I found for people at least. So it'll
Mm,
be interesting to see how Matt handles it, but
yeah.
who knows? But like even at this point, dude, like I haven't even been hungry whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like it's been weird. I've had like zero hunger signals.
That's good though.
Yeah, so I'm
Ish,
just like,
maybe.
well, I'm ready to diet whenever you are, dude. He's like, nah.
Yeah,
So, oh well. Could be worse. Been having pizza and a cookie skillet every weekend and just leaning
yeah,
out. So
yeah, exactly. No,
screw it.
you're,
So
yeah, that's right.
yeah, so
No,
we're
you're in a really good
doing that,
spot.
right?
Cookies and pizza or pizza and cookie skillet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It keeps working, so we got to.
Yeah.
No, that's
I'll make
awesome,
my
man.
folks some
That seems
someday.
like you're in a good spot.
Yeah, so you may have passed me today, but I'll see you tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah, the way your body responds, you'll probably be 275 in like a day.
God, dude. Well, I know we finally found like the sweet spot with like leg training because that's definitely been the hard part. It
Hmm.
literally this last week, everything was still the damn same. One set of stiff legs, 7 pounds up the next day.
Good Lord. That's insane.
I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
It's just stupid, but it's cool to put like a numeric value to something like that and just like, wow,
Hmm.
okay, so that's just where that tipping point is. So
Yeah. Do you think
cool.
is it like a mix of water retention? Then also you get backed up too, right? Like your digestive just slows down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of water retention. Like my ankles will just straight up disappear, and then I'll just hold on to food. It's
That's
ridiculous.
insane.
Yeah,
I wonder why that is. Like why your body specifically does that.
I don't know, dude. I mean, that's a great question. I I don't know. That Matt can't figure it out. Nick can't figure it out. If those two can't figure it out, you're kind of screwed from the science
Yeah.
and spiritual side of sports. So I don't
Yeah.
know who the fuck you ask at that point.
Yeah.
So, but speaking of science.
That's a good segue.
Yeah. Today we got 10 questions regarding what is the difference between bro science and some of this and evidence-based bodybuilding. So I guess we could probably do some of these questions not necessarily bodybuilding specific,
Hmm.
if we really wanted to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But either way should work. Let me see here. I'm just adjusting my screen.
Yep.
All right. AI is cool. I love it.
Yeah. I use it for all my videos basically. Also, my dogs are fighting in the background. You can probably hear them.
Dude, Minnie's huge.
Yeah, she ripped up her collar today. I have no idea how she did it. She like I came home and the $250 tracker was all chewed up in her crate and her collar was off. I have no idea how she did it. So right now she's all naked. But yeah, she's huge. She's got a little limp going on. She got hurt when she was a puppy. Gio had pushed her over and hurt her. And that limp went away and now she's got the limp. And she acts fine like when she's playing.
Hmm.
But like in the morning when I get her up after she's been laying in the crate all night, excuse me, she like limps really weird and like is really stiff. But then when she plays, she's fine. So I think I need to either give her like a joint supplement or take her to the vet. I'm gonna try a joint supplement first. So
What kind of food do you go?
I used to do like the real food, but now I just do the Costco kibble and wet food. I do a mix.
I gotcha. You
Yeah.
should really look into the Spot and Tango stuff.
What is it?
It's called Spot and Tango. They'll send you it's kind of like a subscription service for the most part. But Nessie does hers and it's like some of the most purest dog food you can get right now, from what I understand. But it's like
Yeah, I just looked it up.
yeah, like one's a beef and barley she gets, and the other one I think is like a chicken and potato, I think.
Chicken and rice.
Chicken and rice? Okay.
Yeah,
So it's about as close to bodybuilding as my corgi's gonna get.
yeah, that's awesome. That
Yeah.
mini suit, she's kicking Gio's ass right now. I don't know. It'll probably blur out, but let me.
You get $50 off his first one.
Morgan can get you $50 off your first order. Oh, Geo, you're getting your ass kicked.
She is getting her ass, or he is getting his ass kicked. Yeah,
Practicing for the coyotes.
basically.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, sorry, we kind of went off tangent there. That's okay. It's about dogs.
Yes. The Minnie and Geo are important, all right.
They're very important. They know it too.
All right. So, exactly. what even is bro science and how does it differ from actual sports science and bodybuilding, or I guess let's just say like nutrition, general lifestyle stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that bro science is pretty much like I mean, I think bro science is pretty much like what we did when we started, and that's kind of how I built my business in a weird way. Like, let me just try something because I'm like a bro. I'm just a dude, and I'm just like, let me try it. And I do have some stuff like I definitely like, oh, I'll look up this, like, oh, what does this food do? What does this food do? When I look at like studies, but I'm
Hmm.
not basing my entire business off of that. And
Right.
also for me, like it sounds kind of weird, but a lot of my clients are, it's like a science experiment, right? Like I'm trying something on them specifically. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, great. Some clients do really well with it, some clients don't. And I feel like that's kind of bro sciencey, even though it is technically science because it is an experiment, but it's not like how you think of traditional science, right? Because some people, right, you could give, I don't know, an example would be one client. Here's an example for me today. I could give one client MCT oil, and it's really not good for them for their digestion. Like it makes them gurgle, it makes them feel gross, it's icky. I
Hmm.
give another MCT client MCT oil, and it works really well, and it helps their digestion. It makes them feel a lot better, right? It's
Yep.
just because they're two different bodies, right? There's no study that's going to show that. And a study might show that MCT oil helps digestion, but for one of my clients, it actually hurt her digestion. So I think that's kind of the difference, in my opinion, between bro science and like science. I don't know. What do you think?
I think, well, for sure, it's definitely it's the difference between like anecdotal evidence, you
Hmm.
know what I mean, versus like some specific peer-reviewed lab test on people that haven't worked out before, for 6 weeks. Like this,
Yeah.
these mice did a one rep max bench press for 6 weeks and saw gains, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How does it differ between the two? I think it differs in the fact that there's actual like scientific like evidence and peer reviewed, and we have all this shit on paper versus like us or putting people through these things in the trenches and then stuff being passed down over time, like, oh, you got to do this for this sort of stuff, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
um the thing is like they both work obviously, right?
Yeah.
To an extent, like there's obviously some bro science things that can be refuted nowadays, like fasted cardio. Does that really burn more fat? Well, I guess maybe in context of
Yeah.
what you're sticking into your body, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
it's the I but the whole thing with it is, I think people just poo-poo off one or the other no matter what. It's
Yeah.
I think that's the hard part about what we do is that people are either going to say, nope, you got to do it this way. This is what the science says, or dude, literally, I saw this work like this hundreds of different times. Your peer-reviewed shit doesn't mean anything to me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like there's got to be a balance between there. So I
Yeah.
think as coaches, that's one of the hard part of what we do as a job is trying to figure out and relate to our clients, right? How to mix some of these things and try to explain to them, and they see some shit on Instagram or TikTok and they come to us like, is creatine a steroid? Well, sure, Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But only if you take 10 grams, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just kind of what I think about it. I think there has to be some sort of blend of everything, and realistically I feel like you can say that with everything. It's almost like moderation almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just kind of what I think about it.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. I think the big part is like you touched on it there, like when let's say me and you have a different client, right? Me and you, we have similar ideas, but I'm sure we do things differently, right? Your
Sure.
client could go on Instagram and see me pop up and go, well, he's doing that with his client, so should you be doing that with me? And it's like, no, not necessarily, right? So you could do, and then you could flip that with like a study, right? Like, oh, this study, these people did this, this, and this. Should I be doing this, this, and this? And it's like, well,
Hmm.
no, in that study, they're untrained or they are cancer patients or they are mothers of five, like it's some specific study where they take 10 mothers of five and put
Right.
them through strength training, like whatever, right? Like, so just because the peer-reviewed study says this, and this doesn't mean that it's best for you, right? Like that's what
Mhm.
your coach is there to figure out is like what is best for you specifically, John Smith or Jane Doe, like what is best for that person. And that's why it takes a while to work with a coach and figure out what works best. And
Mhm.
then a coach that's worked with people for a long time, like me or you, or like obviously Nick's worked with a lot of people, or Matt or whoever, the longer you work with someone and the more people you work with, the more you're able to spot like, oh yeah, this person is like that person who I trained. So maybe that will work. And then you do that and you're like, oh, it did work, or oh, it didn't work. They had the same response this way that this one client did when I tried this, and then we tried this. And that's where you can get your own science. And we won't necessarily have a textbook for that, but you will have your own version of Alex science or Scott science or Matt science or Nick science or whatever.
If you listen to Matt talk a lot, he is all big on that same exact thing. It's all about like pattern recognition. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I've seen this sort of shit before. This we applied this in this situation. This was the outcome of that, so on and so forth. So, I think that's the hard part with a lot of these like new coaches or kids that just like, okay, now I have an ASM certificate. Cool. Now I'm a
Mhm.
coach. Now I'm just gonna pull all of these studies out of my ass, and then I obviously know what I'm talking about because it's science, right?
Yeah.
So, I think if some of these people would just take a second and like actually spent time like just applying some of the stuff that they learned or some of these science-based things with kind of some other methods, I think they would find that a lot of different stuff works, right? Like
Yeah.
you can even get into the argument with like the whole fucking training volume shit. It's like, okay, now you
Mhm.
get to what's the optimum volume, like is intensity, blah, it's that sort of shit. Like obviously everything works to an extent based on the individual or whatever they're doing. So
Yeah.
context. It's all
Yeah.
about context, pattern recognition,
Yeah.
essentially. So, what are some of the most persistent bro science myths in bodybuilding and why do they stick around?
Um, I think the fast to cardio one for sure. I Yes, Gio, he has an idea.
I think
Um,
I think it's slowly going away though. I
the
think
fast to cardio one.
I
Yeah,
think it's very
yeah,
slowly going away.
yeah. I mean, honestly, I like fast to cardio. Like, I just kind of grew up with that, where it's just like fast to cardio, you burn more fat, and I know it doesn't, but like, I would rather do cardio without any food in my stomach. I just do. And then obviously, when I'm in prep, I like to have certain things that help with that cardio, and so like yeah. What do you got?
The devil's advocate. If the big thing a lot of times for like fat loss and you're in like a dieting scenario is like managing fatigue or stress levels, right? If you're doing something that is reducing your stress in a way like you're saying that you enjoy fasted cardio, would that technically then be something where we could say that would burn more fat than
Yeah,
unfasted cardio?
yeah,
So the this is kind of the shit that we're kind of talking about. It's like pattern recognition. Okay, like in what context is could this actually burn more fat? Maybe you're taking
yeah,
growth hormone in the morning. Could that potentially put you in a more fat burning stage?
yeah,
Maybe you're taking L-carnitine as well. Maybe you're taking the whole fucking kitchen sink from China. Who knows?
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
I'm looking at you, Gloff.
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean that you're right. And so like I used to be like, no, you gotta do faster cardio. But then with my last prep, Lee and Tina, they're both like really early risers. Like they would get to the gym by 6 o'clock. And I'm like, guys, it's okay. Come here. And like with Lee and Tina, I was like, well, you guys are getting to the gym at 6 o'clock already. I don't need you getting up at 3 and then getting your cardio in and then getting a meal and then going to the gym. Like, no, I just if you need to do cardio when you get home from work, that's fine. It's going to be negligible. The difference it's going to be a lot less stress, right? So,
Hmm. It's how I've kind of almost started approaching that is almost like you are what you eat, you know what I mean? Like does it really matter if you have a slice of cake in the morning or do you spread or sorry, does it really matter if you spread out a slice of cake over the week, you know what I mean, versus
yeah,
eating like an entire cake fucking at like right before you go to bed one day? doesn't really matter as long you still ate an entire cake in this week's and in this 7 day span, right? So
Yeah.
if you get the cardio in the morning, great. Could that potentially burn more? Who knows? Who cares? You did your cardio. That's all we're kind of looking for.
Yeah. And now things aren't working, right? Like if all of a sudden you're not getting leaner, it's like, okay, then that's a bag we could, or a trick that we can throw. Like if you've been doing your 30 minutes of cardio at random throughout the day and all of a sudden you're stuck, it's like, okay, maybe let's try fasted cardio and see if that works better, right? Because it might work better, but that's how you try different things and like, see, not necessarily throwing shit at the wall and seeing if it sticks, but that might do something for you that, anecdotally, evidence-wise, it will show no difference, but or sorry, science wise, it'll show no difference, but for this person, it does. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm trying to think of another one. Yeah, you have to bench press to get big pecs.
Yeah. Tell that to my client that just tore their pec.
Oh no, really?
Yeah. Probably. They went to the walk-in clinic. He hasn't texted me, but probably based on what he said, it sounds like he did, which is unfortunate.
Dude, why do
Yeah.
people keep using barbells? It's killing me. Like
Yeah.
I I get it. People want to fucking throw 4 or 5 plates on a bar and say they bench that much, but like what good is that? I just don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially like with like flat bench, like I know some people do flat bench and that's great, but it's like the risk reward is so high. That's why I don't have in any programs unless it's someone that's like specific, like, and it's more for like a mental reason. Like they just really like flat bench press. So it's like, okay, cool.
Mhm.
I'm going to put that in there, right? Like you made a post today about how much you like deadlifts. I like deadlifts, right? Is there movements that are probably better for me? Maybe, but
No,
I like,
you shut
but
up.
but I like deadlifts, right? If someone is really like Scott, it's my favorite day of the week to do bench press, then fine. But besides that, I'm not going to do that because the risk reward for it's just not there. Like so many people just pop their pec or get injuries with flat bench.
Yeah. Or I guess we could even take that a step further and say like you have to do a specific X exercise to grow Y
Yeah,
muscle tissue too. I,
yeah,
I still see that a lot. It's like, oh, you got to do this exercise, or you got to do your lateral raises like this to, or if
yeah.
you're ever gonna. No, that's just not how it works.
I think that comes from probably like the magazine time. Like I remember
Probably.
seeing that when I first got into bodybuilding, when I would get like the magazines, and it would be like Jay Cutler's movements to build his quads, and it would be like barbell squats, front squats, like leg press, all like it'd be this horrific workout that he's not doing, but the writer for him is saying it would be like this awful like okay, we're gonna squat, and then we're gonna leg press, then we're gonna hack squat, then we're gonna front squat, and it's like 4 sets of 10, 5 sets of 20, 4 sets of 30, like and it's just like okay, and it's like
Oh,
this
my
is how you
CNS.
but you probably remember those like seeing those workouts in the magazines, right?
Oh yeah.
And it was like okay, that's what I guess I got to do. And so or like you have to squat to get big legs, and I think you should be good at squatting. That's going to help you get big legs. But if your lower back gets blown up every time, maybe don't do it. And if your form's good and your lower back is still getting blown up, maybe just don't do it. Right? Like there's better movements for you. Maybe it just doesn't work for you.
I would love to do deficit deadlifts off a box, but my hip keeps imploding every time I do
Yeah,
that. So Alex has to
exactly.
stop doing that.
Yeah. That was like me. My lower back when I did it off a block, it just didn't work. It just my pelvis couldn't get out of its own way.
It
So,
sucks. Sucks being
mhm,
tall.
mhm. Yeah, basically already on a block. Another myth. This is kind of an out there one, but like more drugs equals more gains, which
Mhm.
I think to a point that works. But like if more drugs starts outrunning or more the side effects of the drug start outrunning the drug like benefit,
Yeah.
adding more is not going to be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that something that's really toted though? You know, like you just gotta blast grams and grams a year.
I think it used to be, not anymore. I think a lot of people are like this is a bad example, but like if you go on Reddit, like the steroid Reddit, they're just like test is best, and it's just like, well, no, like what if I can only handle 600 milligrams a test, and I should probably add some other things to that. It's like nope, just keep go up and add an AI, just do 800, 900 megs a test and add an AI. It's like but why not just do 500 makes a test where I feel good and then add 500 makes a primo and then scale up the primo, right? Like the standard approach nowadays, right? Like scale up the DHT. And I think some people just think like test is the main thing to grow. And like it is, but like you don't need to just pound more and more and more.
Okay, but what would Ronnie do? That's all that really matters.
Yeah, or that's I guess where I kind of think of that is like the Rich Piana or like the Boston Lloyd thing,
Oh yeah.
Like the Boston Lloyd 3 cc's, like where he would just be like, yeah, just I do a 3 cc pin. And he'd show his like his syringe and it's like full of that much oil, and it's like, oh no, like that's not good.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think we're slowly finally getting away from some of these for sure.
Yeah,
I honestly I really got to hand it to like the J3U shit. I feel like it was
yeah,
really kind of like the big turning point of like switching a lot of that focus because it just kind of put like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing some of this stuff. Some of this other stuff with DHT is all work, and we could probably reduce some
yeah,
of this, and you probably don't need to take 4 grams
yeah,
of super drugs. Could you imagine
yeah.
4 grams of super drug? Oh my God. There goes your career.
You'd feel really good for like 30 minutes.
That's right.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I think we're slowly getting to the point where a lot of people are understanding it's less so just some of the shit that you're sticking into your body and more so like all the little shit beforehand or
yeah,
it's like the fucking pyramid, right? It's like rest, recovery, nutrition, training, and then slowly up and get more
yeah,
focused into that. So
yeah,
I think we're slowly getting there, but
yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
Don't just blast grams of gear, guys. It
yeah.
doesn't work. Well, it might work
Definitely.
for a little bit and then you die.
Yeah, and then it doesn't feel very good.
All right. How can lifters distinguish between credible research and gym folklore when it comes to training and nutrition?
Like, how can they distinguish between the two?
Yeah.
Um, this might be a bad answer, but I'm going to go for it. If the biggest, if the biggest guy in the gym is doing something to get that big, he's probably doing something right. So maybe you should ask.
I think that's a great answer. I don't think that's a bad answer at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously genetics play a role in that. Like me and you, right? Like we're both
Sure.
6'5" allegedly, but like we're both very similar heights, and we have bigger structures. So like me, like I just look like a bigger guy. So me, like someone coming to me like, what should I do? And I tell them what to do. That might not work the best for them. But I think in general, right? Like if I were to tell them like show them my past year of like how I've progressed so much, and it's like just do this
Hmm.
for a year and you'll make progress. I think that's a good kind of rule of thumb of like how to distinguish like, am I a credible research experiment? I mean, no, because I'm running it on my own, but like I'm not going to be in a test book, but I'm still like the evidence is there, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think that JP post he made
okay.
the other day is probably probably like one of the best examples we could give for that. You know what I mean? So you
Which
got all
one?
these kids talking about like, no, dude, no, bro, this is the best way to grow. And again, it's like some of these dudes that are like, okay, I'm gonna do 4 reps and I'm only gonna do one set of like
Yeah.
225 on a hack squat, and that's gonna be the optimal growth because you don't want to get too much fatigue from training, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's like, okay, is that truly the best way to do it? Sure we got this, sure we got maybe some science or whatever towards that, but like let's look at dudes that have been not doing that, have been doing this completely different thing and they've done it. They've gotten to that point of being big and massive and pulling 7 plates off the floor for reps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, no, I think that's a great answer, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, I think anybody can have any sort of title they want, but if you don't have the actual like credentials, to show that you actually know what you're doing or have done that, then what good is like a piece of paper or some title that you have? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think what's interesting because like I've been in the like in Bellingham lifting since I was 15, and I've gone to multiple different gyms, obviously training ground the most for the past 7 years, but like I started at a different gym called Fitness Evolution. I've kind of bounced around and I see people that have been in there with me the past 10 years, like throughout different gyms, and I watch what they're doing and they look the same for 10 years, right? And
Mhm.
who knows, maybe that's their goal. Maybe they're just trying to maintain and just so they can live a lifestyle, whatever, right? But then there's the people that I've seen in there that are constantly growing and changing. And I've talked to them like, oh, what are you doing? And they'll tell me what they're doing, right? And I think that is evidence-based, like on both sides of those, right? Like there's evidence behind, okay, this person's doing something that I don't want to do, right? Like they aren't growing, they're not changing. What's the evidence behind that? And you watch them and like, hey, they're on their phone a lot. They're not pushing the intensity. They're changing up their program all the time. I'm seeing them do random different shit all the time. And then there's the guys in there, I won't say like me, but like other people that are just like they're doing the same thing over and over and over again. And it might seem redundant, but they're going like this slowly over a
Mhm.
10-year period, right? And so I think that's like the best way to have evidence-based like actual understanding of stuff because it's real evidence.
I I think that's fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah,
because evidence is shouldn't just be some fucking again that rat study from 20 years ago, untrained rats for 8 weeks.
yeah, yeah,
The proof is in the pudding. So
yeah,
like, evidence is evidence.
yeah.
So
Well, it's kind of like it's, unfortunately, like Mike Israel, right? Like, yeah, he does all the really cool stuff and everything, but every time he gets on stage, he doesn't look that good, right? And so it's like, and I'm here. He makes billions of dollars, and I'm here. I'm whatever. Like, but he does good, but like every time he gets on stage, it's like, okay, he looks the same, and I get it. Like, but the evidence is there. Like, what you're doing for him, what he's doing for himself specifically, isn't working. That might work great for someone else, but like in his own experiment of the Mike Israel, I'm going to work on myself experiment. What he's doing is not working clearly,
mhm.
and that's the evidence of what he's doing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I
So
like that a lot.
yeah,
Turns out just eating fucking protein bars and
that kills me so
glass
much.
protein chips doesn't work the best.
That kills me so much. It's like yes, on paper, there's a myth to kind of backtrack that macros are all macros are okay. Like if we're talking in like general fitness and weight loss or lifestyle, sure, whatever. If we're talking about bodybuilding, no. Like I'm sorry, this like I just had 6 slices of sourdough bread. What if that was fucking Wonder Bread? What if I was just eating 6 slices of Wonder Bread? It might be the same amount of carbs, but it's going to digest. It's going to have a different thing. I guarantee
Right.
if I did my own personal study of me eating 6 slices of Wonder Bread a day versus 6 slices of sourdough a day, and I was able to have two versions of me, the one eating the 6 slices of Wonder Bread would be fat as fuck. It might be the same amount of carbs, but it's different. And even if that's fake in my head, I know in my mind that it's different. Same thing with the
Six
microzotel thing.
six is strangely the same number of McGriddles we haven't ate,
I
Scott.
know. I know. Yeah, I know. I know. I have no excuse.
You hit, well, dude, when you hit peak bulk and you're about to come down, you gotta do it.
I know.
You
I got to
gotta
do it because
do
it was a bet. I know I got to do it.
it. It's, I'm still waiting for the day. Oh
I
man.
know. That's the day. I'll be like right at the end of my bulk will be like 290 or let's say God willing 300, just like big and just like all right, I'm gonna do the 6 McGriddles and then heart attack, just like, done. Body's like on redlining and I'm just like and I just tip with. How'd he
That's
die? He had 6 McGriddles.
six McGriddles on his bike in the McDonald's parking lot.
Yeah, just like his father would want. Just kidding. That's horrible.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
All right. Are there instances where bro science accidentally gets something right despite lacking scientific backing? Absolutely. I would say
All the time.
absolutely.
Yeah. That's one of those AI questions that's like, yeah, of course. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just talked about it, right? Like, or that post by JP, same type of thing, right? Like,
Hmm.
is him pulling 7 plates off the floor for years in a row optimal? Would that be in a good study? Probably not. But has it worked? I mean, yeah, look at his fucking back. Like it looks like Every
Yeah.
time I show pictures of JP, when I have to describe it to clients, like who he is, I show them the picture of him standing there holding like the 8 plates or whatever, and it looks like he can just grab his lat, like you can stick your hand like in his lat and grab it. It's like, yeah, that's from deadlifting for years over and over and over again. So yes, to answer that AI question.
Thank you, AI. That was great.
Yeah,
Uh, what role do influencers and social media play in spreading bodybuilding misinformation? A
a big one.
fucking lot.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot.
yeah,
The amount of TikTok workouts I've seen with the amount of booty bands and frog jumps to get the most voluptuous ass that you could ever want is just absolutely asinine.
yeah. Yeah, it's because what doesn't sell is the, 2 sets of 8 to 12 barbell squats to 100% intensity, followed by 2 sets of 12 to 15 hip thrust of like, that doesn't sell. What sells is the booty band hip thrust bullshit.
You need to do this for 6 weeks and then change this for 8 weeks, and then we're going to go into a metabolic phase, and
Yeah,
then we're going to a strength phase
yeah,
versus saying, all right, we're gonna work on your back squat for the next 12 months. We're gonna get as much fucking load on there as humanly possible.
yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what we kind of talked about yesterday. Like, I think a lot of influencers, like let's say like Nick Walker would be in that level of like an influencer, right? Even though he's I don't he is an influencer, but he's like he actually has backing. He does like his Renaissance periodization stuff is specific for him
Hmm.
because a judge probably told this is an example that I don't know is true, but a judge probably told him you need to grow the outer sweep of your right quad in the lower part, right? And so it's like, okay, we're targeting that. So we're gonna do that's we need to grow that much because that's what that judge said to help fill my sweep. Me and you and the majority of people don't need to do that. We just need to get good at squatting. We need to get good at deadlifting, and we need to get good at pressing and then branch out from there. We don't need to do the single leg booty band hack squat, whatever, that is going to help target the lower left quadrant of our glute. That
Hmm.
influencer that you're following was told by an Olympia level judge to improve her placing. She needs to improve that one part of her left glute.
Right.
And so it's so specific, but to the majority of people, they just need to learn the basic stuff. But the basic stuff isn't sexy. The basic stuff is
Right.
lame.
Yeah.
That's it.
With that too, it's like did same thing with like what works for one person probably is not going to work for another person.
Yeah.
You can only explain so much of that in like a 90-second clip, right, on Instagram.
Yeah.
So they're whatever favorite influencer you have is just going to put out, okay, this is what you need to do. It's this big like some sort of big clickbait sort of title, right? It's
Yeah.
like do this for the next 8 weeks and you're gonna have a six pack if you do so and so. When in reality, okay, maybe Joe Blow over here can't even do a sit up. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's got to be different levels of how you're approaching things. Again, context on who the person is and everything. So
Yeah. And I think too, it somewhat comes from the magazine. It's like, hi, Gio, the door's open. Go play. Go play. You have
the
24
ode.
inches. Go play. Um, and I think it comes from the magazine era because there's always that interview of Dorian where he's like, "Yeah, I went to Gold's Gym Venice for a photo shoot, and they wanted me to lift this fake dumbbell, and I said no." Or they wanted me to do a movement, and that's not a movement that I do in my workout, so I said no. And I bet in a lot of the magazine stuff, they were having people do like the cool looking movements to take pictures. And I think that just that level of marketing kind of went into social media where
Hmm.
it's like, well, this isn't actually what I do, or this isn't actually what I've done to get here, but this is what is going to sell, right? Because it's unique, right?
Right.
That's where I think it's hard. Like a lot of this is kind of contradicts a little bit what I said I think earlier, but a lot of open bodybuilders nowadays are like, yeah, I don't take that much. Like, well, yeah, because you built all the mass. What did you do? What did you take to build the mass, right? Like, okay, well, I don't barbell squat anymore. Yeah, but you did for 8 years and you have massive legs, and now you stopped. The massive legs aren't going to go away.
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference between like where you are and where you're on the mountain to climbing up the mountain. There's different things I think you have to get good at. Yeah, so
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Why do bodybuilders sometimes reject scientific principles in favor of anecdotal evidence?
I think it's just kind of in our nature. I think bodybuilders are kind of like, uh, we're gonna do it our way. That's why we do crazy shit. That's why we're like, yeah, this vial of this, dude, this is yellow, but I heard this is gonna make me really big. Like that's, I think that's just kind of in our, I think that's just in our nature, or it's like, ooh, I'm gonna try NPP. Well, I heard NPP makes you really sad if you have sad issues, like depression, or that would be depression. That
You
sounds
know
so
what
dumb,
makes you
but
even more sad? Having small muscles.
yeah, exactly. So it's like I'll do it, right? And I think so. I think it's just in our nature to do that. And so it's like we'll read like some like scientific thing and be like, well, a couple things. We'll read a scientific thing and be like, that's lame. And then two, we'll be like, yeah, well, I've had better results doing this than that study has shown.
Hmm.
So I think there's like two things. I think it's just the immediate like general bodybuilder reaction, be like, no, nerd shit. And then also two, being like, well, I've done what works. Why would I change it? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think the big thing that we can see that in is the discussion in doing like three working sets, or do you do two working sets with an intensifier, right? Like
Yeah.
intensifiers are to some of us really fun, right?
Yeah.
Could they potentially be more harmful in some other ways? You can get into the whole fatigue management shit again, or
Yeah.
could that put you in a weird position to, I don't know, get yourself hurt, if, especially if you're trying to do like a rest pause by yourself on a certain implement, you know what I mean? Versus like,
Mhm.
well, what if we just did an extra set instead of like trying to do some crazy intensifier technique instead of like some fucking Widowmaker, right?
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right in that in a lot of us bodybuilders, there's just something I don't want to say off, you know what I mean? But like
Off.
there's some level of I don't want to say danger either, but it's kind of like fuck it, you know what I mean? I want to
Yeah.
do it this way.
Yeah.
This seems more fun to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that could be part of it. And again, just not calling some of these other dudes nerds, like fuck you nerd, I'm not gonna do it that way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But
Yeah. And
it's
I
kind
think,
of almost that same sort of deal.
yeah, and I think that too, like we've all done it. And I like for me, if I could, and I mean I could try it, but I know it wouldn't work for me because I've done it. If I did, let's say I went into like did the whole 20-30 work, like the German volume training, right? Like
Hmm.
1 minute of rest, like just pounding through legs. I would really like that. I could probably do that workout once every month and be okay, but I couldn't progress that over time. But that's how I used to train, not German volume training, but I would train like I'm gonna do 20, 30 sets. I'm gonna do drop set on every last set. I'm gonna just go, go, go. And it's really fun. But for me, going back to evidence based, for evidence, that doesn't work for me because I am fairly strong. And
Hmm.
when I'm doing that type of load with that type of volume, it doesn't feel good for my body. And then if I lower the lower the weight so I can do the volume, then I don't feel like I get a good workout. So would it be more fun to do it? Yeah, but that's not going to work for me, right? So
Right.
I think that's one of those things where going into that like what's fun and what's optimal and like kind of figuring out what works for you, right?
Fun, optimal. What's gonna work best for Scott?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and have
agree.
a combination of the both too. Like let's say because you want results, right? Because what's the most fun for me is results at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
But let's say you're going to get the most results by doing, let's say you could prove it. If God were to come down and be like, Scott, if you just do one set of deadlifts a week, you will look exactly the same. Nothing else. You just picked every Wednesday, you did a set of deadlifts, and then you look the same. I wouldn't do that because that's not fun. So I would rather do what I'm doing now instead of like, even if I was told, hey, this might be more optimal, I'm going to do what I enjoy. And I think at the end of the day, then I'm going to get more results because I'm going to enjoy it. So I'm going to do it longer term.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What even is optimal? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. It's a dumb word. It's optimal for, like you said, it's optimal for Scott. What's optimal for Scott is not optimal for Alex. What's optimal for Alex is not optimal for Nick, right? We're
What
all
does the
different.
paper say, Scott?
Yeah.
How does the supplement industry, oh God, contribute to bro science, and what should consumers watch out for?
That's my favorite because I used to work in supplements. Uh,
GMC manager, here we go.
yeah, that's right. Back in the day.
Yeah,
No, you probably remember this too, but like Muscle Tech used to be really big on the studies thing. Do you remember that?
yep.
They would have like they would have ads with these bodybuilders in lab coats. I think Fuad has an ad where he's in like a lab coat and they're like doing these like studies. It's like I took Cell Max or Cell Tech, whatever it was. I took Cell Tech for 6 weeks and I look like this. It's like, well, did you also start your cycle 6 weeks ago, Fuad? It's like, yeah, but so I sure like, and it's not Fuad's fault. It's the marketing, and so I think they moved away from that a little bit. But I think the supplement industry is big on pushing false things because they have to sell. And then also the worst, I found this out when I worked at GNC. The worst was when it's like, oh, the study shows that this creatine is better than this creatine. Who paid for the study? The company that's selling you the creatine. It's like that's not a reliable source just because it says it's studied. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
we
it's
studied this.
yeah, we studied this and it's better. We studied it and it's better than our competitor. I
Yeah.
mean, you're gonna say that, right?
I think the hardest part about it is that it's literally the most Wild West side of stuff that we can deal with right now is because it's not regulated by anybody.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like even
yeah,
peptides are more regulated than the actual supplement industry, which is crazy.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? But like things we're doing for like pumps or like protein, like getting actual sources of nutrition, nope, not regulated whatsoever.
no, not at
No, it's
all.
fine. I
Yeah,
th the craziest thing to me is like so obviously I work with Strate Labs, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And so like I'll tell people a lot of times like I'm really big on pushing like the oral BPC like right off the bat nowadays
mm,
because like if anybody has any sort of like minor gut issues, it's gonna knock it out like almost instantly within like the
yeah,
one bottle that they take and they'll be fine. But like obviously that costs like a good amount of money versus like, well, I'm gonna check on Amazon and see what they got for BPC. And like you've got all these
yeah,
things that say it's BPC 157, and then you look on the back, it's BPC 157 proprietary blend, and you look at it and it's just fucking amino acids.
yeah,
So that I think that's the hard part is a lot of people just have no idea what they're looking at nutrition label wise. I don't think it's necessarily like a bro science sort of thing. A lot of times that people need to be worried with like the supplement industry, it's the fact that these people can literally put in whatever the hell they want. If
yeah.
it's my rule of thumb for people has been if it says a proprietary blend of anything,
Don't take it.
just don't even spend your money on it.
Yeah.
Who knows what it is? You know what I mean?
Have I told you my BPI story with the proprietary blends?
I don't think so.
So do you remember the company BPI? I don't even know if they're around anymore. They
No.
sponsored they sponsored Regan Grimes. They had a Jay Cutler line for a while. They were
Okay.
garbage. And this guy came in one time when I was in GNC and he's like, "Hey, where's your BPI stuff?" And I was like, "Oh, that's kind of." I told him I was pretty young and dumb, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird. Usually people don't ask for that." And he was like, "Oh, why?" I'm like, "Ah, because it's not the best company." He's like, "Oh, okay." And it was in our clearance section because it sucked. And he's like, "Why isn't it the best?" I was like, "Well, I do a lot of proprietary blends because on the back of all BPI stuff, it would be like energy performance blend, and it wouldn't even tell you how much caffeine's in it. So it's like, have fun. Like, is it
That's
300? Is it 500? You don't
here's
know.
here's a
Like,
gram of caffeine.
yeah, it's like, well, who knows? And it'll have like all sorts of stuff. Or it'd be like their protein. It would show like their protein, but it'd be like proprietary mix, and it'd be like whey concentrate, casein, whey isolate, and it's like, okay, I don't know how many. Is this all concentrate with a little bit of isolate? Like, or is this like what is this? Anyway, so I'm
Yeah.
explaining this to the guy, and he goes, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm a rep for BPI," and I was like, Mm.
Mm,
I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. And he actually gave me a
there it
bunch of
is.
products, which was really cool. But at the end of the day, I was like, yeah, your stuff's just not that good. And he's like, and he's trying to like explain it to me. And I was like, yeah, okay. I think I was giving him like, oh, yeah, very nice. But at the end, I was like, this stuff still sucks. Like, it's not good. So,
Yeah, dude. It's just there. It's I can't believe how many more supplement companies just keep popping up out of the woodworks, man.
Yeah, it's
That's
insane.
great. It's crazy to me. Like I would say maybe some of the other things to look out for is like if there's like not a lot of again evidence or people that have like physically taken this sort of stuff and have
Yeah,
provided some sort of like review. Again, you got to watch out for like all these bots now or like paid reviews nowadays.
yeah,
But like ask somebody, like again, that big guy in the gym, ask him what he took. Maybe that's
yeah,
probably a good idea of figuring out what a good protein powder is, you know what I mean?
yeah,
How much creatine to take, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
yeah,
So, I feel those are kind of the big ones.
yeah.
So, yeah, Jacked 3D. That's some
Yes.
cocaine or what? It wasn't cocaine. What was it?
It was DMA.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
it was. Need some of that still.
yeah.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions about muscle growth, protein intake, and anabolic windows? Those are three very broad topics.
Can you say that again? What was it?
What are some of the biggest misconceptions about muscle growth, protein intake, and the anabolic window?
I mean, I don't know what you think about the anabolic window. I think going back to what we were talking about, I think the anabolic window, in my opinion, is now somewhat of a myth. In the sense of protein, in the sense of carbohydrates, no, but in the sense of protein, yes. Like I think a lot of people get it wrong with like I gotta get protein within 30 minutes. I was like, no, you actually need to get some simple, easy carbs in within 30 minutes. That's going to actually help replenish your glycogen storages.
Hmm.
If you're eating enough protein throughout the day, if you're eating a gram to a gram and a half per pound of body weight, your amino acid reservoirs, like your storage, is going to be fine. So you don't need to get that in right away, in my opinion, right? Um,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I would say so. Again, I'm always big on you are what you eat. Like if you get all of that food in within the day, like if
Yeah.
you're gonna eat like an hour after your quote unquote window, does that mean your fucking workout was entirely just worthless? You know what I mean? No, of
Mhm.
course not. Like you still got in that stuff. Now, could you start making the fucking optimal argument with things again? Like, could you potentially get more out of that if you ate closer to being done with your workout? You know what I mean? Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
probably, but like from what I've noticed, at least with myself and like other clients, or I guess with the majority of my clients that I deal with, we're not really getting into the nitty gritty on stuff, right? But like even in terms of like myself, like I just haven't really noticed a difference if, say, like I eat farther out from training than not, other than
Mhm.
like going hypo. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that would be the most important thing. You know?
Yeah, and I think another big thing with that too is a lot of people get stuck on I need to eat right after my workout, and this kind of I guess goes against the anabolic window. People are like I need to eat right after my workout. It's like actually no, you're probably in a fight or flight state after your workout. If you've
Yeah.
trained hard enough, your body's not going to want to digest shit. So maybe just drive home, and like for me, my drive is 15-20 minutes. And
Hmm.
I do some nasal breathing during that time, and then I kind of make my post-workout stuff, like I do my creaming and everything. So it's probably about 30-35 minutes after I eat or after I train. So I've kind of chilled out, right? And
Yeah.
so personally, I think for me, that probably helps me be better. When I was younger, I was so stressed. It's like, okay, I gotta work out, and then as soon as I'm done working out, I gotta eat right away. And it's like, well, all your blood's in your muscle. It's not.
Hmm.
It's you're not. You're in a sympathetic nerve or yes, sympathetic nervous system state. Like you're really stressed out. You need to be like chilled out, right?
Hmm.
Like, and for some people, it's worse than others. Like me and you, we train really, really hard, right? Especially after a hard leg day. I don't want to eat anything. Like I just, I'm good. Like, but after like an arm day, I might be okay, right? Like
Hmm.
I could eat, but like if I were to have a leg day, like and immediately eat, I'd probably throw up
Right.
or just feel really crappy and or just like shoot through me, right? And
Hmm.
so I think that anabolic window thing is kind of it's a misnomer now, especially now the more that we understand about the nervous system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think the parasympathetic and sympathetic like response I think is something like people still don't understand like how stress and like cortisol affects everything when
yeah,
realistically if you don't even have that part figured out like you're probably going to be shit out of luck for a lot of things because your body's just
yeah,
going to fight itself the whole fucking time.
yeah,
Yeah, you're in that fight or flight response. So that I think that's a great point.
yeah.
In terms of like protein intake, what do you think?
I think once again it's person dependent, right? Like
Yeah,
I can push protein pretty high. Like I eat about a gram and a half per pound of body weight for me, and I'm probably for you and your coaching style that would probably be considered high, right? But
absolutely. Yeah.
that's what I feel good at. Like that's me personally. I think with clients now, I'm a little bit lower than I used to be, and it
Hmm.
also depends on the client, right? Let's say I've got a client that's really struggling with appetite issues, like they want to eat all the time. Okay, I'm going to probably increase the protein a little bit higher than I normally would to help kind of keep their stomach full, right? Because protein's a lot
Right.
more filling, right? But for me, like I've seen with my own Scott experiment, the higher my protein is, the leaner I am, right? Even that's just for me, right? Now for you, I think when we've talked, when you push your protein higher, your digestion gets fucked up,
It
right?
sucks. I
And you
hate
can't do it.
it.
Yeah.
Even like
So yeah,
150, like 150 gram of like weighed meat, I think that's what, like 50 grams of protein,
yeah,
something like that. Like even at like 250 grams of protein a day,
yeah,
or what is that? Fit no, 50 times six, 300 grams of protein.
yeah,
Like, oh, shit, I didn't even think I was that high. Even still, like I don't love it. Like, yeah, talking to like Martin Fitzwater, dude, like he eats 125 grams of like cooked meat per meal.
yeah,
That motherfucker is massive. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like how much do you realistically need? Again, yeah, it's all person dependent and for at least from what I've seen is if you can't digest it, then like there's just no fucking point. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So like you being able to intake that much protein, I think puts you at like a pretty good advantage. You know what I mean? Especially with
Mhm.
all the other stuff that you're taking, you can metabolize all of the other protein and synthesize it and put that towards good use versus like I take that much and like next thing I know, I'm just fucking sitting there bloated and I can't take all this food in without like popping two or three betaines, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
So I 100% agree. It's all person dependent, and if I had to like take a look at a lot of my clientele, I would say most of them just based on like their muscle mass and a lot of times their digestive issues when we're starting out. Like I don't think I push anybody past like 80 to 100 grams of like a cooked meat per meal, like tops, because
yeah,
a lot of people just can't even handle the amount of food volume right off the bat because they're typically coming from like maybe 1 to 2 meals a day of eating God knows what, you know what I mean? To
yeah,
like, okay, it's Tiffany, let's try eating 4 meals with protein in it. But
yeah,
and she's just dying because like she's already stressed out from having to meal prep chicken breast finally and
yeah,
then trying to get that down. Like, well, this is dry, this is go on forever. But yeah,
yeah,
100%. It's all context dependent.
yeah. Yeah, I think another one too, in line with that, like that old myth back in the day, it's like you can't absorb more than 25 grams of protein at one time unless you buy this specific protein powder. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of combines the two, like what misconceptions the supplement companies do versus what like the myths and everything. Like I
Mhm.
remember back in the day, it's like, oh, you gotta buy the casein protein, so you take 2 scoops at night before bed, and then so it absorbs slowly throughout the night. Because if you do isolate at night, then it's not going to absorb properly because you can only absorb, your body only can take 25 grams of protein at a time. And it's like, that's not how the body works. That's just not how it
I wish
works.
that's how it worked for like cinnamon rolls. Oh, well, if you eat 4 cinnamon rolls, only the calories from one really count because your
I
body
know,
can only
right?
absorb how much, you know.
Yeah,
But I will say I do enjoy doing like milk at night, you know, with like the Fairlife with the
yeah,
whey, because then you kind of get a nice blend. I don't know if that even makes a fucking difference, you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like, well, I guess milk has casein in it. I guess that
yeah,
works.
yeah.
But
For I think it definitely helps you like be fuller throughout the night. But
right.
that's probably why you're doing it. You're probably not doing it for the sense of like I can only absorb so much, right?
I'm doing it so my creamies are the best thing in the world.
That's
There's no
my,
other reason.
my nightly dinner right now, and I've done it for like the past since the show because I love this. I do a big old salad of like 100 grams of spinach, 100 grams of romaine. I've swapped different meats, but like right now I'm on 150 grams of chicken, and then I do 10 grams of olive oil, and then I do like whatever seasoning I want to do. I had a client give me some seasoning from Italy. That's the bomb. And then I
Oh,
do my creamy. I do my creamy, and I do 10 grams of coconut oil that I freeze with some cocoa in it, and it turns into little chocolate chippies. And so I have a big old salad and a pint of ice cream every night, and it's my favorite thing on the planet.
dude, hell yeah.
Yeah,
I gotta get you on the Fairlife game though, dude. It
yeah,
honestly
yeah,
makes such a difference in the creamy, dude.
yeah.
I shit you not.
I put because Costco used to have Fairlife, but they got rid of it. So I just use the Premier Protein shakes, and I
Oh,
do
okay.
a little. So I do like 80 grams of Premier Protein mixed in with 30 grams of whey, and that makes it really good. That makes it really like creamy. And then obviously like the Jello powder and that type of stuff.
Have you tried? You're not lactose intolerant, right?
I have to be careful. Like I can't.
Okay.
Like I couldn't eat like a pint of real ice cream or like drink a glass of milk, but I can like have a cookie and be fine.
So Sam's Club has their own like brand of lactose-free milk, and I was super excited because I'm like, okay, well, I can get a bunch of this stuff instead of having to run to Publix too and get the Fairlife.
Yeah,
I tried theirs, destroyed me.
really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like instantaneously every time. I'm like, dude, what the hell? There's no lactose in here or anything. So really, it's really weird that like I don't know what their filtration process is for like Fairlife, but it seems like it's kind of better than everybody else's.
Yeah, they might have something patented or something.
It's because Coca-Cola's rich.
Does Coca-Cola own Fairlife?
Oh,
Oh fuck, that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Have you seen they sponsor Georgia foot or UGA University of Georgia Athletics? Fairlife does. Seth Rossi was talking about it on a podcast. He's
Okay.
like, dude, you literally walk into the athletic facility down there, and they have coolers full of free Fairlife, and they have trucks like semi trucks that drop off Fairlife every day because of the amount of athletes that are at UGA, and they just walk into the athlete commons or whatever and just take it. And the most popular flavor is the strawberry. They're like every day we sell out of strawberry. Yeah, the little strawberry RTDs. It's ridiculous.
Gross.
Yeah,
Strawberry?
I like it. It reminds me of
Ah,
Nesquik, like the Nesquik strawberry. Yeah,
gosh, I hate you.
yeah. I've
Ah,
got time for like one more.
okay. Well then let's do this. We got some rapid fire questions.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah.
The ones
All
you're gonna
right.
tell me.
Yeah. So, all right. Myth or science? You need to eat every 2 hours to keep your metabolism high.
Myth. Tell my OCD that though.
You know, AI said that was a myth, so good job. You're smart.
Oh, thanks.
You're so evidence-based.
Thanks.
Yeah. Lifting heavy weights will make you quote unquote bulky instead of lean. Myth or science?
Oh man. That's a myth. I hate that so much.
It is in fact a myth.
Yeah.
Creatine is basically a steroid.
I mean, if you take 100 grams, maybe. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Okay, have you seen some of those studies now that like people are recommending like 20, 30 grams of fucking creatine now?
I've been taking 10. I went up to 10. I don't notice the difference, but apparently it's really good at like you can just crank it up. But when I was younger, it was like, no, that'll fuck your kidneys.
Your kidneys, well, at least your hair's gone, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Fucking Ben the other day, speaking of that, sorry. Ben the other day, he shot me a text and he was like, hey, have you tried finasteride? And I was like, does it look like I tried finasteride? And he was like, well, I was wondering, he was being nice about it. He's like, I'm wondering if before it all went away, like if you tried. I'm like, no, in my mind, it's like, I'm already taking a lot of DHT. Why would I take something that blocks the DHT? That just feels like counterproductive, and I don't care about my hair. So
I
I
was
thought
gonna
it was
say,
funny.
Ben, is your mustache already thinning out, dude? Come on. You must train to absolute failure to maximize muscle growth.
I mean, it's a myth, but it feels right and it feels good.
That's, if I remember correctly, I think Morgan said that this had like it was context dependent for the most
Yeah.
part. So I I don't know if absolute failure is to maximize it, but you have to train fucking hard. Let's put it that
Yeah,
way. Let's put it that way for the real, you know?
yeah. You have to train hard. Like, are we talking? Like, I call it like mechanical failure or form failure, right? If I'm doing a
Mhm.
leg extension and I physically can't move it anymore, that's failure, right? But if I'm
Yeah.
shaking and moving and trying to like, if I can move the weight, but I'm throwing my legs up and down, technically I'm not failing, but my form has failed.
Yeah.
So
100%.
yeah,
Fasted cardio burns more fat than fed cardio.
we kind of went over that. I mean, anecdotally, maybe, and it depends on what you're taking, right? If you're
Yeah.
taking, like you said, the whole kitchen sink, like clenbuterol, yohimbine, GH, all like, yeah, it probably is going to, right?
Yeah.
But if you're just doing it like, no, yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah. All things considered, everything equal, I would say they do the same exact thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Last one, you can target fat loss in specific areas, also known as spot reduction.
that's a mess.
That is definitely a myth.
I will say though, one thing I've noticed about getting really, really lean from my show, like that's the leanest I've ever gotten, as I've gained fat back, yes, I gain it in my same areas like my lower back, like my love handles, but not nearly as much as I used to.
More
So
spread out.
it's way more evenly distributed, like
Nice.
way more. And so that's not necessarily spot reducing, but it's just like yes, I store more fat still in my love handles and in certain areas, but it's
Mhm.
just a lot more evenly distributed. So I think there's like an argument to be said, like, let's say you're super duper fat, or like, let's say not super duper fat, but like, 30% body fat, but it feels like all your weight's in your gut. Get like stupid lean if you can, right? Get stupid lean and then build back up from there. And you're just that recomp is just going to distribute the fat in your body better. So not necessarily spot reducing, but I just notice myself, I don't put the fat on nearly as much in certain places anymore.
That's a good point. Get
Yeah.
lean.
Yeah. I don't know if, yeah, exactly. I don't know if you noticed that because you've been a bigger guy too. I don't know if you noticed that after this last show, like when you've
I
gotten bigger. Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah, I would definitely say it's not like I'm throwing it all on my gut like I used to have it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's definitely a little bit more spread out. It's like Matt has made this comment as well. It's like you're fat in what we're doing with your muscle is like you're actually morphing more into like bodybuilder look versus
Yeah.
like you got just the big old tire on the fucking belly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think that comes from because when you're going through puberty, if I think this is right, the amount of fat cells that you have once you're done with puberty is what you have for the rest of your life. They just grow and shrink. So if you go through puberty like me or you, where we're offensive linemen and we're just fucking big
mhm.
and kind of fat, right? That's gonna be our problem areas for the rest of our life versus like someone that goes through puberty and let's say is a for football term is like a wide receiver, right? They're going to store fat in different places than we are, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's probably not evidence based, but that based on what I've seen, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Well, is there any advice you would like to give people to filter out the noise and focus on evidence-based bodybuilding?
uh, train hard and use yourself as evidence.
Works
Do
for me.
do
I like that.
do. Here's my marketing for Nick. It's free. Get with the coach and follow exactly what he says for months. And that's marketing for us too, but just follow literally what he says for months. Like with Nick, right? Nick and I joke a lot in our check-ins. He doesn't change much for me. It's very, very minor. We've ran the same program with borderline the same movements for about 11 months now.
Hmm.
And if you look at my physique over the last 11 months, I'm a completely different person. And
Right.
it's just like every day I have a plan. Every day I look in my logbook and I can show my logbook, but every day I look at my logbook and I say, I'm going to beat that. And then I beat that for 6 to 8 weeks, or sometimes 10 to 12, however much I can run it. And then I usually have to do a little load reduction because I start chasing weight too much, right? But like this is, it's probably going to blur. Here we go. Like this is my logbook for the past like 11 months. It's for my leg. I don't know if that loads, but like it's going to be blurry. But see how like all those numbers, and it's like that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 5. That's 25 training sessions of logbook, right? Just over and over and over and over and over again. So
Hmm.
that's the best advice is like just train hard, beat yourself from the previous week, pull back when you feel like you need to, and follow what your coach is saying, just to the T. And if you don't agree with something, tell them. Then that's it. It's pretty simple, in my opinion.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah. What's your advice?
Listen to Scott.
Well, okay. That's dangerous. That's dangerous, but thank you.
Hey, it's gotten me this far, so like technically it's actually good advice.
Yeah, depends on who I'm saying it to and what I'm saying.
It's also
And I
that.
always have Taylor joked to me today. My trademark word is allegedly because it keeps me out of trouble. And I just whenever I say something, it's like allegedly, like train really hard, train to failure. It's like, yeah, you should allegedly. Like I don't know what failure means to you.
Mhm.
I don't want you to be like, well, I trained to failure and I hurt myself. It's like, well, yeah, you trained to failure on a back squat, you dumbass. Like, yes, like maybe don't do that.
Yeah. Oh, well, there goes my ACLs
Yeah,
and my
right. Like,
spine.
yeah, like, oops, like, well, Scott, I trained to failure. It's like, yeah, well, now you're in a wheelchair. So
And this is
anyway,
why
I gotta
people
go.
sign waivers.
That's right. I have a waiver for my shop gym now. I have to.
This
So
is all for
anyway,
entertainment purposes only.
yeah, it's like peptides. It's like this is for animal research. I'm like, yeah, I'm totally buying this peptide for my dog. Like, not for me. That's my favorite on peptides, where it's like this is not intended for human use. It's like, yeah, I'm doing my own personal rat study.
I'm trying not to be human anymore, so thank you. I appreciate it.
That's right. Oh, Minnie wants to say hi. She's here. This
Hello, Minnie. Oh,
she's
yeah.
the yeah. She's the hey Minnie, look.
Minnie?
Oh, she's giving me a hug. She's just her and Gio are like the opposite. She's just like a sweet pea, and then Gio's just a jerk. Do you see how she's like hugging me? She's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, like look, I'm gonna let go, and she's gonna
Oh, yeah.
yeah, she's just gonna give me. She's gonna oh yeah, wait for it, and then she's gonna give me a hug. Yep, there's the hug.
Oh,
Yeah,
my goodness.
she's a sweet pea, and then Gio's outside probably being friends with the coyote or something. So anyway, I gotta go on. Good talking to you as always. We gotta do this more.
Yes, sir.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.